Hey Olga, Daphne here. Thank you for sending in these essays and for your corrections as well. Let me just go through the corrections first. Yes, you're right on the comma and the full stop on numbers. 6.5 and 10,000 is 10, comma, 1,000. That's absolutely right. In contrast to or contrast with, honestly, contrast to is usually more natural. It doesn't work as simply as noun or verb because in contrast to this statement, yeah, or in contrast with this statement, um, they're both nouns, but contrast to is more natural. When I've just been thinking about that, thinking of lots of examples, but contrast to, I would definitely work that one rather than the other one. Now, timing, I am concerned about this, okay, especially because your results have been amazing. You've done this exam twice already. You need to get it this time. Your writing is fantastic. It, I know, I can see you want it to be perfect. I can see the problem because 250 words is not very many. Here you've got, let me just check. What have you got here? Okay, 400. I really think you should stop at 350. I really do. I think you should practice writing these essays again. You know the title now. You don't need to spend so long planning, but see what you can do in 40 minutes. I think you have to be really strict. The reason I'm very cautious about this is because I've had some really good students like you before, and they have all had time issues, and then in the exam they have not got the band 7 because they ran out of time. It's just not worth it. I know you want it to be perfect, but equally stop at 350. Yeah, please practice this. Uh, don't don't spoil your chances. Okay. How long is your planning? This should be 5 minutes. Yeah. Don't worry to type it for me. Just put it on a piece of paper for you. 5 minutes, bang, and start writing. Okay. Really be strict with yourself. Okay. So here we go. Keyword here, dependent. So this is the most important word in this essay, and we need to make sure we address this. So in the last decades, there's been an evident increase in the use of uh, technological, you'd have to, technologic doesn't exist, technological communication tools, lovely. Since there, so you've got plural, so you'd have to have there, plural, apparition in the end of the 90s. They've entered the lives of citizens in almost any substrata. You'd have to say every substrata, not any. Any is negative. Every substrata of society, and it seems likely that now they, careful with it. So this referencing is great, but you need to have they again because they refers back to, I'm going to put it in colour for you, they refers back to this they. So, and we've got the plural there. So this is lovely for the coherence, but we need to make sure that it's consistent. However, as the population becomes increasingly attached to this type of media, the question on whether this is beneficial AL for the or not arises. In this essay, both issues will be discussed. Okay, you just if I'm going to cut, you could probably cut this. Okay, I know we like it, yeah, but you're writing so well that I don't think you necessarily need this. You've given a good intro, yeah. You could cut that. Firstly, the necessity of telecommunications has long been acknowledged. This is largely because, now again, if I'm going to cut, so I would cut this, okay, largely been acknowledged, and what you could do is quite cool, as an essential tool for approaching people and establishing relationships in spite of the distance. You see, for me, as a natural English speaker, this is more sophisticated. It's a very small word, but it does a very good job. Acknowledged as an essential tool. Since the introduction of the internet, the world of communications has reached a superior sphere by enhancing universal access to extensive worldwide services, thus facilitating, the thus has to go before the verb there. Oh, hang on. Well, move it. Ah, okay. Put the thus here. Yeah? Thus facilitating the entrance into an era of globalization. Good one. Company Google recently carried out a survey among customers. I mean, again, you could cut that. You could just put among its users. Yeah, it's customers with a U. Okay, it's users, it's customers. Now you can't use the hyphen. Karen Massaro uses indicating that. So don't use the colon there. 70% affirmed, or just where. 70% affirmed, preferring having access to internet mobile phone, whereas only 30% responded the opposite. As biased as this data may be, coming from undoubtedly how the social media, there is no doubt. Okay, it cannot. No, you can't use undoubtful like that. There is no doubt that it has to be. It is undeniable. Now, careful. Yes, it's facilitated communication, but watch out, Olga. That's not the question. The question is dependence. So it's undeniable how this type of media has created dependence. Yeah, so be very careful. It is a really subtle difference, okay? But we need to absolutely be sure that yes, it's fantastic, but we need to be talking about the dependence. So, for example, I depend on the internet now for my teaching. I can't go to the school where I used to work, where I work still, but I can't go to school, so we're doing everything online. So it's not just the internet's a great thing, it's that the dependence on the internet. So I would rewrite this for practice, and I'd also just shift this paragraph a little bit. So we're not just saying it's a great tool, we're just saying dependence on it has changed our lives. I think that's really the point. Nevertheless, here, media dependence, yes, might be hard. Whether the issue of whether the media dependence, it might be hard, but outweighs the advantages has grown. The issue of whether you don't need the media dependence, you don't need another verb because a subject because you've got the subject, might be harboring. You need another noun though. Dangers outweighs the advantages. Yeah, you need another noun there because you have to harbor something. Harboring needs a direct object. Might be harboring dangers outweighs the advantages. Yes, good sentence. Youngsters have an increasingly precocious access. Yep. Okay. And our recent research by Spanish showed that over 90% owned a private phone with internet access. It's not being against. I think you can cut this. I know it's very nice, but you've got such good things to say. I don't think you need it. This might be producing a tremendous shift in the way social relationships are understood. Consistent with this line of thinking, a new medical term has emerged. Wow. To clearly describe a phobia that takes place when the telephones are abruptly taken away from a user, usually experienced in young adulthood. Okay, you need to connect this together because you're saying dependence. You need to make it really clear what these dangers are. If we're going to put in these words and explain the dependence, yes, we're saying, I like your argument here, but do you not think it might be simpler to say something like tremendous shift and the way social relationships, so maybe going to the point that youngsters are happier communicating on their phones rather than communicating face to face. And that's radically changed how they relate to other people. It might be a simpler, clearer argument to use because to me, I'm not convinced that this argument relates back to this. I see it does, but then you'd need a whole nother paragraph to explain this idea of dependence. So the danger, when you talked about social relationships, use that. That's a really good thing. In a new colour. But use that idea and build your example onto that idea. So they can't talk face to face, they can only talk online. And obviously that is not a good thing. To conclude, I believe the introduction is helping nations. Yeah. So it's not the introduction, watch out. It's reliance on. has been a good thing. Nevertheless, it's clear they should be employed with caution. Absolutely. Okay, young consumers, good. Yeah, so it's a fantastic essay. Many students just make exactly the same mistake as you've kind of made. Just when you redo it, just redo it for you, and just make sure you're really careful on the words in the question. It's a bit of a trick essay, but very lovely. Obviously, you're super good. You know you are. I know you are. Here we go, pie chart. Pie chart, watch out spelling, shows the proportion of subjects that are preferred by German capital letter students. Now, were preferred, so watch out for immediately. Okay, when you look at the picture, check out the tense, yeah, and capital letters for that. Overall, PE, now capital letters here for the subjects in English. Was the most popular choice, followed very closely by history. Least liked subjects, watch out, verb, were, IT, or subject singular, was IT. Displayed the past tense, a portion of only 3 points. Good. History, maths, and physics, capital letters, shared past tense, similar figures, good, respectively. History. Yes, now this is the interesting bit. Okay, so why don't we, rather than this, why don't we say votes? Imagine they were voting. Votes for history practically triplicated or were 3 times higher. Might be easier. It will be tripled. Were triple that of geography, you'd have to say, were triple that of geography, or 3 times higher than geography, and 6 times the percentage of IT. Lovely. While, so instead of also, use these lovely words, while mathematics, or while preference for mathematics were 3 times that of geography. Yeah, great contrasting language. Chapters, we wouldn't say chapters, we would say topics. Biology, capital letters, together represented roughly below a quarter of the chart, whereas, good word, others like, yeah, practically half the proportion. Lovely. Mathematics alone remains a little bit, yeah, good. So you've got the past tense there, and here you've got past tense. Okay. Globally, sectors enjoyed the most popularity by PE. Yep. In that order. Don't use the dashes. Just use the comma instead. When you're writing academically, you don't need so much of the punctuation. Displaying similar proportions. Subjects that registered least were, yeah, good, really nice. So great answer there. Just a couple of like technical little things on the like grammar, not in grammar. What is it? Yeah, spelling kind of fence. Yeah. But otherwise, fantastic work, Olga. Really good. Okay, so work on that timing, please, please, please. And also, I'm sure you do task 2 first. Okay. All right. Well done. Have a good weekend.